It's a rare sound these days. A Roman Catholic Mass said in Latin. The language was once at the heart of Western culture. For centuries, most books and official letters were written in Latin.
Today, it is considered a dead language, except to those who are trying to resurrect it. Brook Silva-Braga is here with one man's efforts to keep Latin alive. Brook, good morning.
Good morning. Well, one estimate puts the number of truly fluent Latin speakers in the world at just 100 people. But one man has made it his life's work to save the language from extinction, and where he's doing it is as unlikely as how he's doing it.
I want to start with 1633.
In the basement of a nursing home in Milwaukee, the world's best Latin lessons are given for free.
What does Regina mean? Nearby.
In the middle of the table, that's Father Reginald Foster,
You're going to have to do this sooner or later. Mahometos,
a priest who lacks patience,
sit down and shut up.
a teacher who dominates his classroom,
You better be awake.
the man who has managed to convince hundreds of people to dedicate their lives to a language no longer living.
His passion is what drives us. He's like the rock star of the Latin world. So it's just great to be in his orbit.
Why are you so good at Latin? Is it just the time you put in?
Friends, you see what I'm sitting on? My butt. You sit on your butt and study Latin as long as I have. You'll be a master too.
It just seems too hard.
No. Every poor person, derelict, prostitute, anyone else in Rome spoke Latin.
If they could do it.
Well, if they can do it. And I also say, when the Romans said to their dogs, they had pets, come here, sit down, and eat your dinner. Veni hoc, concede, et cenam tuam sume. And take your dinner in Latin. Well, the dogs picked it up.
As a young man, Foster, the son of a Milwaukee plumber, became a priest in Rome with a knack for the language, and in 1970 got a call from the Vatican. They wanted him to translate Latin for the Pope. For the next 40 years, he wrote speeches and letters in the names of 4 popes.
Pretend that you're the Pope. What would you say? I said, well, I have some ideas.
One of Foster's ideas was rejecting the trappings of the church. Instead of a priest's habit, he dressed like a working man. Instead of a mattress, he slept on the floor. His Latin was so good the church tolerated Foster, but the high-profile job didn't quite satisfy him.
Because what we were doing upstairs in the office was useless. No one's reading those letters. So I said, I want to do something useful. Teach them Latin in my way.
His way meant scrapping the traditional method of memorizing tables of text and instead treating Latin as a living, spoken language. It was a radical departure in approach.
Something out of the world of fantasy, a monk in Rome speaking Latin.
Jason Petticone had studied Latin by rote, but never heard anyone speak it out loud.
He has scores of students who've become Latin teachers, several who've become Ivy League professors. That has affected a change on the culture of the way Latin is taught.
Foster would still be teaching and translating at the Vatican if a bad fall hadn't landed him in a wheelchair, just as an appearance in Bill Maher's 2008 documentary Religulous landed him in hot water with the church. Foster was flown home to Milwaukee, never to return to Rome.
The third chapter are these sentences.
Now, 78, he's working on textbooks to share his method.
There I am, 19 years old.
But is devoid of sentiment. We asked if he had photos of his life, and he said he'd thrown them all in a dumpster years ago. Luckily, a neighbor climbed in and saved them. Why would you throw all this out? This is the history of your life.
I'm never going to look at that again. And it's gone. Past. Finished. Over with. Done. Forgotten. Goodbye. Ciao, ciao.
Except it isn't really. Foster's old students not only carried on the Latin summer classes in Rome, Jason Petticone's nonprofit, the Paideia Institute, now brings Latin into underserved American classrooms, helping these kids' English vocabularies in the process.
Wait, guys, wait.
And on a recent Saturday, high school students swept through New York's Metropolitan Museum of Art for a Latin scavenger hunt. The gospel of Father Reginald Foster is winning converts. How long have you been studying now?
557 days.
So she won't forget, Grace Milliman wrote the date on her shoes in Roman numerals.
September 2nd, 2016. And I walked into that classroom and, like, my entire life changed.
People say it's a dead language.
It's roaming around. It's not dead.
You were ready for that.
I am always ready for that. This is so fun.
Seeing a young person that excited, even if he doesn't want to admit it, I think would make Reginald really, really happy. And I think that in her, he will live on and the tradition will live on.
Latin is easy if it's taught right.
That's what you've tried to change.
I am changing. I'm going down to teach right now.
And Foster is willing to teach anyone who shows up in Milwaukee, no experience needed. His method is also taught in a London summer program, and his second book in that 5-volume series is now headed to the printing press. And he says he has no plans to stop teaching.
Amazing.
Tempus fugit carpe diem.
Yeah.
That's all I know.
I know he said even a dog could learn it, but I took it all the way through high school, and it was murder.
He says
remember?
people are learning it the wrong way.
I think he's probably right, because it didn't work for me. Brook Silva-Braga, thanks.